All right. Uh, the next weekly update. Here we are. Um, what did I do this last week? What did I do this last week? Um, this wasn't too crazy of a week. Well, that's kind of true. Not true, I guess. There was the election. There was the election on Tuesday. That was a pretty interesting thing. Personally, I voted for Trump. You know, just that's who I voted for. Um, Main reason I kind of was going back and forth between, I guess, Kamala and Trump. Um, not actually, no, that's not even true. Like, I really never considered Kamala. The main issue that I had with Kamala is that she was completely undemocratically selected. Like, it's just everything about that. I just did not like it. I did not like it at all. Um, it was forced. It was so soon. There were no debates. Like generally speaking, I really don't pay attention to the debates. I really don't. I didn't pay attention to any of the RNC debates between Trump and whoever it was that he debated with. Um, I hear about the debates from podcasts and the like, and other people who really pay attention to them and stuff, and I hear their feedback on it. Uh, but just the fact that there was no debate, like it's Kamala, right? It just that was such, in my opinion, that was such a subversion of everything that it means for America to be a democratic country. That it just like no, no, I don't like it at all. Like I really don't have strong feelings for Trump. Um, Quite frankly, Bernie Sanders was the last real politician that I actually personally felt strongly about. Like I really liked Bernie. Um, I don't feel that way about Trump at all. Um, quite frankly, the way I think about Trump is there's this game that came out a few, maybe not even, it's not a few years ago, it's probably like 10 years ago now. It's called Call of Duty. Call of Duty 2, Modern Warfare 2. Um, and in that game, one of the main characters, I think his name is Captain Price or something like that, someone in that game says, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend." And then the person that he says that to, which is I think one of the antagonists of the game, he says he's like, "That cuts both ways, my friend," you know. And I understand that, right? The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that can backfire on you as well. And so, generally speaking, me voting for Trump was me voting for the enemy of my enemy. And in this instance, in this case, uh, the enemy I felt Trump would oppose is everything about establishment politics, everything about saying the right thing, everything about woke politics, everything about, I guess you could say, the policing of speech on social media, everything about everything that has to do with silencing people, and Kamala being selected. She was not picked or elected, right? Uh, Trump was elected through the debate process, right? He was the one who won over people's votes and stuff, or not votes, but won over in the primaries. So Trump was actually elected to run as the Republican candidate. Kamala was not. And so everything about do what we tell you to do that was just coming from the Democratic Party it just, I didn't like it. It's un-American. It's you could argue that it's unconstitutional too. Um, and I'm not super up to date on politics. I really don't pay attention to them all that much. But the optics of it just, they weren't what I was for. And so after hearing the Trump podcasts on JRE, uh, that was a really awesome podcast, actually. Just in terms of me getting to know Trump more on an individual basis and hearing his thoughts on things and the like. Um, and I was like, all right, I like this. I like this guy. He's a character. He's not perfect, but he is who he is, right? And you hear that sentiment echoed all over the place, which is that, like, he may not be, you know, a safe politician, if you will. He may not say the right things, uh, but because of that, you can say at the very least he is being true to himself and who he is as a man, and that's what I like about him. And that may be why those in power, or those who have vested interests in whatever it is that they have vested interest in, wanting the country to continue to run the way it's been running, don't like him, then all right, cool. That may be why they just, yeah, that's probably why they don't like him. But that's why I like him, because he's not a cookie cutter guy. I also listened to the podcast with JD Vance. I actually really like JD Vance. Just again, listening to him, listen to his thought process, listen to how he talks about things and everything. I'm just like, oh, this guy's got a good head on his shoulders. I really appreciate that, you know. And so, yeah, election night was a pretty interesting night. I didn't really stay up to date on the election results all that much. I was checking X a little bit, but I really didn't know until the following day. They're like, "Oh, Trump's the winner." But that night there was an open mic. It was actually a show, but it was a show and an open mic. And so those who were on the show were going up. And so I guess after the show they were gonna have an open mic, but I guess the show went on too long, so I actually didn't get to go up, which was a little lame. But it was actually pretty fun, because that was the first night where I really just like hung out with the other comedians here in Houston. A lot of the time I just sit in the back of the room and watch all the comedians do their thing. I really like watching comedy because of that, or because I like watching comedy. That's why I do that. Um, so I hung out, talked with a fair few of them, got to know some of them, helped out afterward, carrying some chairs to break down from the show. Um, and then after that, I came back to Venice and I just went to sleep. I smoked some weed and I didn't want to drive, so I didn't drive anywhere. I just stayed where I was at. So that was cool. Uh, and then, other than that, uh, I've recently been trying to actually socialize more with other comedians here in Houston. I haven't really been socializing with them all too much. Um, Mainly just because I just like moving slow. Honestly, I've come to learn and accept that I'm not that super loud, outgoing guy. That's just not who I am. I'm not. I can do it, but I just don't. That's just not me. That's not me. I like to take my time and get to know people slowly. Um, and that has its pros and cons. The con is that uh, a lot of the comics just don't know me, and that's okay. They'll get to know me in time. There was a little, I guess you could say, not altercation, but there was a disagreement over the list a few weeks ago. That I think was a little silly. Um, Long story short, some guys, I was in line to get on the list, and some comedians came up and they were trying to tell me that they have priority over getting on the list than me because they were at the mic before me, but they didn't get in line before me. And I said no. And they kept saying things like, "I'm gonna make enemies if I don't let them do what they wanted to do, which is basically bump me." And I told them no, and they said like, "Oh well, the host is gonna do it anyways." And I was just like, "Well, if I sign up on number one and the host is gonna bump me anyways, then it doesn't matter where you're on the list, now does it?" And they just kept saying that over and over and over again. And eventually, it got to the point where one of them stole the list from me, wrote my name on number five, put himself number one, and then the other three people that he was with, he put them two, three, and four. Um, and I still went on that night. I had my set. I did okay. I didn't get a lot of laughs, but it was all right. I didn't bomb. I can definitely say that. Um, but I can definitely say I upset some people that night. That's for sure. It's kind of funny, honestly. I didn't mean to. I didn't want to. Like I was in line, and they wanted to skip me because they thought they had seniority. But I disagreed, and so it is what it is. So when I was trying to like talk to other comics and the like uh, that day, not election night, but a different night, um, there was what from what I can feel, there was some apprehension about talking to me and stuff, and I could feel some wishy-washiness about it. And that simply is what it is here in Houston. That's the thing I've learned. It's very clicky. The Houston comedy scene's very clicky. Um, Everyone kind of gets along with everybody, yeah. But from my standpoint, um, very very clicky. So you know, I'm not gonna rag on anybody because I get it, right? You can only be friends with so many people, and that's something that I've heard from other comics is that like when you're doing comedy, you meet people that you don't get along with, and you meet people that you do get along with, and over time you just hang out with the people that you vibe with, and you avoid the people that you don't, right? And that's just what it is, and I'm okay with that. Um, One comic told me that it's gonna take a lot longer for me to succeed because of that, and I told him like, well, this is how I want to do it, and if I fail, then I'm gonna fail doing comedy the way I wanted to do it, and if I succeed, I'm gonna succeed because I did comedy the way I wanted to do it, and I'm okay with that. I really am. I really am. I am who I am, and that's all I can be. And God brought me here for whatever reason that He brought me here, and so I'm going to continue to pursue it, and I'm okay with that. You know, like Winston Churchill has his quote, right, which is that like, um, so you have enemies. Good. That means you stood for something. And I don't know if I have enemies, but I know I stood for something, and that's all I can do. And that's all I'll continue to do is continue to be me. I don't like disrespect, and I felt disrespected that night. And I did tell one of those comedians that I respected them though because he told me he respected me for standing on my business, and I was like, "That's what's up. Thank you." So I did tell him afterward, after that whole thing, that of everybody, I respect him the most. So that's okay. But that's basically been my update. You know, I did some open mics. I got some new jokes, wrote some new stuff. I want to write a little bit more. But otherwise, still experimenting, still doing my thing. Um, that's basically it. Trying to be more active in church and stuff. I went to a Bible study on Tuesday. That was really nice. Um, Gonna keep going to that Bible study. I wanted to go to this other ministry earlier today, but I didn't get up early enough because work went on long last night. But that's neither here nor there. And Texans play tomorrow. That should be good. So I don't think they're gonna win, but who knows? Maybe they pull off an upset. We'll see. So that's it for me. That's it for this week's update. God bless. Thank you for checking this out, and have a good day.